It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week we're looking at the potential return of Tony Stark, Mike.
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
We are. Apparently Mike has already heard this news, son of a gun. James Gunn unveils a hefty Suicide Squad cast list.
Yes, and he told us to not be too drawn to them, so we'll see what happens.
Don't get attached. J.J. Abrams is selling out to WarnerMedia.
Okay.
With this company and more.
That is the definition of Hollywood in general, is to sell out, but not in like the derogatory term of the word. It's just like, no, I mean, I'm here, I'm making money. This is how it works. So, WarnerMedia, as long as you got the money, I'll do whatever you want. Yeah,
please buy us. Is really what I'm trying to say. Buy us, please. We would love to be sponsored by WarnerMedia.
So just before we started the intro of the show, I told Chris I just found out that Mark Hamill was a voice actor in this new Dark Crystal series, because usually when I'm in the middle of watching a series, I don't go on the internet to look things up, because you can sometimes get yourself spoiled if you see like a character's like last name or something like that. Oh my god, they're a part of this family the whole time or something like that. So I just avoid IMDb. But I was like, all of these voice actors like sound familiar, and but Mark Hamill's actually sounded the least familiar. Like I didn't know Taron Egerton did a voice in this show, but now that I think about it, like, oh, that does sound like Taron Egerton. But Mark Hamill voices the scientist kind of evil bird, if you will, and okay. he has this amazing line read in the show where he's like, give the crystal everything, give it your essence, and he says it in this such crazy wacky way, and they flash back to it quite a few times in the series, because these elf creatures in the show. Sorry, anybody who loves the Dark Crystal. I don't remember any of the names.
so the elf creatures are Gelflings.
Yeah.
And then Mark Hamill sounds like he voices a Skeksis.
Yes, a Skeksis. So the Gelflings have this ability to kind of like mind meld or whatever. So there's lots of shared memories. So you get to hear this line read over and over again of him going like essence, and it's like, I need to make it like a ringtone or like a text message alert or something. I mean, I always have my phone on silent, but it's just so perfect.
That can be your alarm thing. So when you wake up every morning, the first thing in your head is Mark Hamill giving it his essence.
You mean not Soul Decision Faded?
Oh my gosh, I wasn't gonna say anything, but yes.
If anybody out there knows how that song got stuck in my head today, I would love to know, because I can't track it down. I don't know where it came from. I do have an alarm clock radio, but the last time it went off was on Friday, so I can't imagine that song sticking around that long and making it to me on a Sunday afternoon. You
probably heard it in like some pass by or something, like a couple beats of it, and then the next thing you know, there it is.
Well, the most embarrassing thing is I didn't know what the song was. I just had it stuck in my head, so I had to like very awkwardly sing it to my wife, and she knew what it was like right away. It's like, oh yeah, that's Soul Decision. So yeah, that's why you get married, so people can guess what songs are stuck in your head.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's one of those things like I've gone down that road where I've tried to Google a song I thought I knew, and like, how do you Google a rhythm that you're just thinking of? And I'm like, well, how do I do that? And then totally
it always brings me back to like when like Shazam was becoming a thing, and like an app store was just like a naive little like child in the world. There was like this video where they're talking to like these like Harvard research team or something, like, oh, we're building like this technology to where you can just like sing into a microphone or hum a melody and it will find what song you're thinking about. And I was like, if that software even today heard what I sang my wife, it would not know what the hell I was trying to do. I was just like, because I wasn't even putting together a coherent like measure of music. I was like, all right, I got a couple bits from like maybe this measure, and I got maybe like half a second of the chorus. So that's something that artificial intelligence, I don't think it's never going to know what song is stuck in our head.
I can't carry a tune even when I do know the words and the entire song. So I don't know how it would pick me up either. So you're 100% right. That just sounds like a pipe dream, a pipe dream somewhere down the road. But did you watch more Dark Crystal this weekend, or you're done?
No, I'm slowly working my way through it. I was hanging out with some people this weekend, and I was telling them I'm having this problem right now where Carnival Row also kind of has similar creatures in it. Totally different vibe and tone and story, but there's also like fairy creatures in it, and there's like fairies with wings in Dark Crystal. So I was like, all right, I got to finish Carnival Row first, and then I'll go back to the Dark Crystal instead of like boomeranging back and forth. So finished Carnival Row this weekend, 8 episodes of something that I'm assuming is very expensive to make. All of the sets look very expensive. All of the makeup on the creatures looks very expensive. The actors, it's got Orlando Bloom in it. I'm sure he's very expensive. He was in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, so I'm sure he doesn't come cheap.
You forget his classic Elizabethtown, please. The one movie you think of. You also think of Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yep. Lord of the Rings, that would make a whole lot of sense. So he's no stranger to fantasy and adventure. But it's weird. Like, I'd love to recommend the show to people on the podcast, but in a world where there's just like 1,000 things to watch and the list never stops growing, it's kind of weird to recommend just kind of like a decent show. Like, I liked it, but I wouldn't go out on a ledge and tell people to push other stuff aside for it, which is kind of weird and kind of unfortunate. It seems like maybe if this show came out like early 2000s, like it could be making waves out there, but I hope it gets a second season. I'll watch a second season. It seems like it's building an interesting world. So if all that type of stuff is what you like to watch, I would go check it out. But isn't that kind of weird that like this show was just drowning in probably a very high budget, and then it's still kind of hard to recommend to people? Well, I feel like we're going to see a lot more of that type of entertainment moving forward.
Have you watched Penny Dreadful, the series?
I have heard about it. I kind of have a slight idea of what it is, but I've never seen it.
So the show Carnival looks a lot like Penny Dreadful to me. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's British, right? Is that where Carnival Row is?
Yeah, it has a Victorian vibe, but
so it looks like that. I mean, I just don't think you're the audience for this show, Mike. I think there's a huge audience that would live in this, but I think you might not be that core ideal
Chris,
audience.
Are you telling me all streaming services aren't making shows directly for me?
Well, I'd like to think so. I think maybe Apple TV Plus is. I think those shows are perfectly made just for you, with you in mind.
Chris, don't besmirch me.
All 4 shows they have.
Yeah, but it's good. It's a solid B+ show, and I'm telling you right now, I would watch a second season. But it's just kind of weird, like that you can like something, but you just can't quite recommend it because there's just like 1,000 other things to do in a giving hour. But it was fun. Carnival Row, some cool creature effects too, because they got that special effects budget.
Oh yeah, you gotta have a special effects budget these days, man. You just gotta have it.
Mm-hmm.
But while you were watching streaming shows, I was taking a trip back in time to Blockbuster.
Chris, there's only one left. How did you do that?
Well, there is a new card game or board game, however you want to describe it, that you bring home called Blockbuster. The board game. Is
it about running a Blockbuster?
No, because nobody wins in that situation. So what it is, comes in a VHS case, like the old thick Blockbuster VHS cases. You open it up, you have 2 thick stacks of movie titles, right? And you get the parking lot for Blockbuster and a little stand, and you play these cards on. So you get 3 cards, and you get one word. You get your team to guess them. One has one word, one has a quote. If you don't know the quote, you can make one up, and then one has a acted out thing. And the point is to get your team to get all 3 cards before the time runs out.
Oh, it's similar to another game, but I can't think of it.
Yeah,
just trying to get somebody to guess something.
Yeah,
without saying it.
Yeah,
was it Taboo? Is that kind of like Taboo?
Way, yeah, but you get to pick which movie goes in which slot.
Okay.
So if I'm like, again, example last night, it was just me and my wife, so we weren't playing it because we have teens, but like, I put Jurassic Park on one word and said dinosaurs. And so you're like, oh yeah, Jurassic Park. And then what's cool is there's these head-to-head cards, and it's like movie titles that have a dog in it, or movies that have a dog in it. And you have like 15 seconds, so you bounce back and forth until the time, whoever's on the last one, the time buzzes, loses. So it's really fun. I really like it, and it's an easy setup, easy teardown game. So
and it hits that nostalgia too, for sure. I was at the office the other day, and I was talking to some of my coworkers, and we were talking about Pogs. And we had all this nostalgia for Pogs, and we were talking about them. We were talking about like the slammers and how ridiculous they were. And then, we lean over to some other slightly younger coworkers. I want to say like, mid-20s, 25, 24, something like that. And I was like, oh, yeah, you guys remember Pogs? And they're like, oh, no, Pods? What do you say? No, Pogs with a G. I'm thinking that, once, it's a hard word to kind of understand, like, out of nowhere. Once I told them that the G was involved, they'd be like, oh, yes, Pogs, I very much remember. And they're like, what's a Pog? And I was like, oh, my God. It's not like I felt like bad for them. These things were just little pieces of cardboard, but I was like, I have never felt so old that it just wasn't even on their radar. At least usually some people are just like, oh yeah, I've heard of those things before, but I never had them. Had no earthly idea. So we took it upon ourselves to educate them. Like, oh man, these things were crazy. Like, it was just you could get anything pop culture like embedded on like a piece of cardboard, and there's like these big slammers. They're like big and heavy, and you'd whack them with it. And then like halfway through the explanation, I was like, these were so stupid. but that took me down like a rabbit hole of going on eBay, and I was looking at slammers. Like, if you want Pogs, there are lots, like literal lots, like 10,000 Pogs you can buy for like $20 on eBay if you want them. But the slammers are a little bit more collectible. Like, I don't know if you remember the 90s, Chris, like since we both lived through it, but the O.J. Simpson trial was like intersecting with Pog popularity like 1-to-1. So O.J. and the slammers, I found a lot of those. I saw one that was like $100. It was like it had everything about Pogs in it. So it was a slammer, so it was already the premium version of the Pog. It had O.J. Simpson on it, but it wasn't just kind of like a crappy like photo or like a printing. It was like an engraving. And then on top of that, it was the Buzzsaw slammer. So it was shaped like a freaking saw blade. So I was like, this is not worth $100. But there was a part of me that's like, if somebody bought this for me, I think I'd be okay. I'd like put it on a chain and wear it. But, Blockbuster, Pogs. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of promo where if you rented a movie, you got a Blockbuster Pog.
Exactly. So what happened was they had this commercial where you rent 3 movies, you get the Blockbuster Slammer, Mike. But that commercial was playing Faded by Soul Decision over. So this is why you were thinking of it this week.
I thought you were being serious for a second. I was like, if there's a Blockbuster Pog, I want it.
No. The only time I was ever in a Blockbuster was actually when I got to college, Mike. We did not have Blockbusters growing up. We had local video stores, and that's all we had. So I didn't get a Blockbuster until after 2005, when their popularity was already waning. Horribly.
I feel like if I had to find some sort of analog to Pogs in like relative today world, if you kind of just wanted to know about the fascination of it, I would say like maybe fidget spinners. But maybe since it was back in the 90s, these trends kind of lasted a little bit longer because there was less competition out there for things for kids. So like imagine like fidget spinners, but like the frenzy lasted maybe like 2 years instead of like 3 months.
Well, it's like the timeless classic of baseball cards, right? You collect baseball cards. They're cheap to buy. You can get a lot of them, and they have value to whoever deems they have value. At the end of the day, they're just the same piece of cardboard with print on them at the end of the day. So
but I guarantee the Pogs are not as valuable as baseball cards.
Yeah, well, it all because baseball's a timeless sport. Pog didn't get to ESPN. If they had ESPN with Pog championships, then maybe we'd be talking differently today. But
I mean, there was some pretty cool like Avengers like comic book Pogs too, because also 90s amazing time for like Marvel animation. So there's a few of those that were on eBay that I was like, hey, I wouldn't mind this Wolverine Pog or this Captain America Pog.
Oh, I mean, God, Lord, yes, I totally agree. Can you imagine like getting like a shadow box full of just Avengers and Marvel Pogs and filling that up as like a collectible thing these days? Like for your nerderies.
Ooh, if they were like if it's got to have like a central holographic Pog, because I feel like that holographic material I haven't seen since. Sometimes you could get them on like stickers when you were like at a diner on your way out in the lobby. There's like, you put 2 quarters in, you get like this holographic like yin yang sign. That holographic material. I feel like its iridescence is going to be burned to the back of my brain.
Yeah, the biggest gimmick ever in the world of anything. I mean, I remember comic book covers having that as well. So and they about died in the 90s. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's definitely what's going on there. So, but enough about that, Mike. We're here to talk some news, if you don't mind.
Chris, I went out of my way to set you up with the perfect Pog segue into the Young Avengers, dropping all of these Marvel Pogs, and you didn't take the bait.
Because I don't associate the Young Avengers because they were after the 90s. So, yeah. Anyway, Disney Plus. I don't know if you know this or not, but Disney Plus is actually going on in the Netherlands right now. A free trial for everyone in the Netherlands. You don't have to pay at all to sign up for this.
You can just watch it now.
Yeah, actually, I've tried a VPN to get over there. It didn't work out very well.
Damn.
But there's a lot of news coming out about this. But some of the stuff coming up we're going to talk about is purely rumor. Again, the Young Avengers team. There are plans in the works to introduce this team as a show on Disney Plus.
Okay.
So right now, the MCU has laid the groundwork with Cassie Lang, an adult version of Scott Lang's daughter, who is the character Stature in the comic books. WandaVision has the ability to introduce her comic book children, who are not really children, but like they were created out of magic, called Wiccan and Speed, which are essentially two young versions of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. It's very, very not original. There's lots of rumors to introduce Miss America Chavez, who's a dimension hopping character. And then lastly, our next topic actually is the introduction of Kate Bishop, the young Hawkeye, as well. So there's a potential here with all these young characters to do a Young Avengers Disney Plus show and not have to waste a movie slot for these younger characters.
Yeah, I guess it makes me wonder if it is wasting a movie slot, because when we've kind of mulled around the idea of Young Avengers in the past on the show, I've really liked the idea of like Spider-Man being involved, because he is very much young. Like all of his stories focus around the fact that he is still just a kid. So I would love to see a Spider-Man in the Young Avengers, like whether or not that's canon in the comic books or not. It just kind of seems like a waste. Like he has all the young people problems, throw him in that group. But I guess since he's like tied up with Sony, maybe they don't really have that opportunity.
There is a newer comic series called Champions, which has the Vision's daughter, Viv Vision, a younger Nova, which we've talked about, a couple other young ones, but Miles Morales, even younger than Peter Parker, is part of that team as well, and they're all in high school.
But it probably is important to catalog this news under all of the Disney Plus streaming news, where I feel like every property right now is going to be rumored as a Disney Plus show. So we just kind of have to go off the fact of, if this is true, how does it make us feel? And I think
good, man.
I think if the next bit of news is true, it makes me a little bit more excited.
Yes. So Hawkeye, the TV show, the last Disney Plus property announced at San Diego Comic-Con, starring Jeremy Renner, is looking to cast Hailee Steinfeld as Kate Bishop in this series. Hailee Steinfeld, I remember from the True Grit remake years ago.
Yeah.
5 or so years ago, if not more. And now she's a pop singer. Her songs are on the radio. But you remember her most recently from Bumblebee, which came out around Christmas.
I actually had no idea she was a singer. I didn't know that. I guess I'm just not tuned in enough over there. But, that doesn't really bother me either way. But, yeah, I loved her in Bumblebee. Her character was just... I don't know if it was just the way they wrote her character or if it was her acting, maybe a little bit of both, but she just felt like very empathetic. She was like funny. She had this great like emotional range, and this was all just like in a Bumblebee movie. So maybe this was also just wrapped around the fact that I wasn't expecting a Bumblebee movie to ever be good. But I feel like Hailee Steinfeld also just feels perfect for the role too. Like when I think of Kate Bishop, like Hailee Steinfeld, I feel like that is a really good casting. So I'm totally down to see Hailee Steinfeld run around with a bow and arrow. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I agree. I think she's got that standalone like she's got the enough that she doesn't need to lean on Jeremy Renner as a lead role. Like she could be a lead in and of herself. So
seems like she can like push back against any sort of attitude that he gives her.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree. So I think that's a great thing, and hopefully we hear some more of that as they kick off production literally on all these all these shows.
Yeah, so if you throw her in a crew with a bunch of other superpowered people, that makes me excited.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. And she honestly probably has of the characters, of the two announced, her and the actress who played Cassie, I think she has the most star power. So be more like the lead or the captain of that team as well. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, we have some other Disney Plus stuff that has been from this trial run over in the Netherlands and through the official Disney Plus account to hold us over a lot more television shows than I anticipated, Mike. Mm-hmm. We are about to drop on you the Marvel side of the animated shows you can watch on Disney Plus here in November, including X-Men 92 animated show, right? Classic. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man 94.
Oh, that's it. That's my childhood right there. Yeah, Spider-Man 94.
Right there, those two. I did not know this, but Spider-Woman had a 79 show.
Oh.
An old Spider-Man 81 cartoon, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which some people have really expressed they enjoy. Iron Man, Fantastic Four, I think Incredible Hulk, Silver Surfer all had 90 show, and then also Spider-Man Unlimited.
These will be fun to dive into. I have memories. I actually have memories of seeing the Iron Man animated show. And I haven't gone out and seeked it out. I'm sure I could watch some clips of it, or if not full episodes on YouTube somewhere from a pirate. But I'm actually looking forward to watching a little bit of that because I was like, yeah, it's been a while. Sometimes I feel like it never actually happened, but it's right here. I will be streaming it in November.
Which show are you say Spider-Man most in particular?
Spider-Man was kind of ground zero for my love of superhero stuff. Most people's origin stories, depending on how old they are, seem to be rooted in like the comic books of these characters. But, I was a kid that grew up in front of the television. I loved animated stuff, whether it was like The Simpsons or King of the Hill, or anything like on Sunday night on Fox. But Saturday morning cartoons even more important to me. And Spider-Man 94, that was like it. That was like how I got into all of this stuff. And I held all of the Tobey Maguire movies up to the standard of Spider-Man 94. So it's just like, I don't know, it's not quite my Spider-Man. So, man, that opening theme song too. Man, X-Men's theme song and Spider-Man's theme song, so solid.
Well, I will tell you, the X-Men suits, the design for their outfits in the 92 series are what I hold how every X-Men should ever look going forward because of those Jim Lee designs in there. Mm-hmm. And then I actually am one of those pirates, Mike. So if you're ever on my Plex server, you can pop on those two shows. I hope they do some remastering a little bit of these, that they're not just the old Fox Kids versions that pop on there. But I gotta say, I'm looking forward to throwing on some of these for some background noise and just reliving that nostalgia every Saturday morning.
Perfect background noise.
Exactly. On top of that, the Disney Channel side of things, I actually have a lot of these shows pirated as well. But Gargoyles, The Adventures of the Gummi Bears, Ducktales, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, Goof Troop, Darkwing Duck, and TaleSpin, Mike, on Disney Plus.
I laugh because I just heard a story recently where the president of the network at the time, before Gummi Bears came out, he was just looking for like animated stuff to fill in their afternoon time slot, because I believe they're just like, hey, kids are watching TV as soon as they get home from school, let's just put a bunch of cartoons on. So they just needed something, so he was just like, my kids are eating a lot of gummy bears, let's make a show about gummy bears. And that's literally where the show came from. It was just like his kids were eating the candy, so they made a TV show about it. I thought that was hilarious.
It's literally, so you're familiar with gummy bears as it is, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, because everyone I've talked to, like, what the hell are gummy bears? And I'm like, I hate you all. My brother actually owns the full series on DVD for gummy bears, but it's essentially like if the Smurfs were gummy bears, because there's like these people who like the humans want to drink the gummy bear juice, and they're like, you can't have our gummy bear juice to help us bounce here and there and everywhere.
A tale as old as time.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty funny. My wife had never seen TaleSpin, and I'm like,
oh my gosh, Baloo and the plane.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, bum 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 bum, and she's like, how do you know this song? I'm like, it's TaleSpin. How do you not know the show?
Man,
So-
there really needs to be some representation of all of these characters at the theme parks. Maybe they do in Disney World, but in Disneyland, I want to get on Baloo's plane. I want to take a picture in that thing.
I would love just a Disney Channel animated section, a whole park dedicated to just these TV show characters.
Well, if they brought back Ducktales, I think all we have to do is get enough people on Disney Plus streaming things like TaleSpin, and they'll just reboot it too on the network.
Yeah, and they could all cross over. Could be an interconnected series of shows, Mike, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Disney Cinematic Universe.
Oh, Chris, you're pitching $1 million idea.
I know. Also, I will never forget the theme song for Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. But
Rescue Rangers, Chip and Dale.
You got to have the stutter, the chip part. Yeah,
it's like do you remember the movie Always Famous?
Yeah, Almost Famous.
Yeah, Almost Famous. That's what it was. Where the rock star is like talking to the reporter kid, and he was like, "You remember that moment and that one song where like somebody hits like the wrong chord and it sounds like it's off?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." He's like, "Exactly right. That's the part that everybody always remember is like the mistake." And it's like just like the Chip and Dale song. It's the stuttering that everybody remembers.
Exactly. So I mean, Disney Plus. We're excited about the new shows. Mandalorian, access to all these great movies. But I mean, with this, sampling in the Netherlands, which I'm so jealous of these people, getting to use it. And honestly, some of these things may not make it over. I don't know what the streaming rights are. This may be regional right now because they have a lot more movies on there than we will get. But I mean, it's I'm excited about the opportunity here of a lot of things going here. I have a screenshot of the Marvel section, right, and it has your favorite show on there as well, Inhumans. I know you're a big fan of how that turned out.
Wow, who couldn't be?
But also, I'm pretty sure I see Earth's Mightiest Heroes on here as well. It's on the side, but I'm excited. I'm really excited for November to roll around and we can just dive into this and have some fun.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this winter is my favorite time of year because the art books for the big movies start releasing just in time for Christmas. And the art book of Endgame book is releasing soon. And here's the cover sampling some of the artwork on the inside. And I got to tell you, I love the look of this.
Yeah.
The design is fantastic. Seeing Thor and Captain America fight Thanos. I'm pretty sure the full fold out, it's a fold out. That the other side is Iron Man on the other side. But
yeah. If you don't already follow, I don't know how to say his last name, but Ryan Meinerding. He posts tons of stuff up on Instagram. That's definitely a Twitter account everybody needs to follow. But yeah, this is great art by him.
Yeah, I got the Infinity War book for Christmas last year from my in-laws, and I absolutely love it. It's a beautiful book. It's so fun to go through. I was so excited. They thought I was like a kid at Christmas going through like his favorite, because immediately I opened it up and started flipping through the pages. I was like, I gotta look at this concept art and these designs.
I'm just always fascinated by like how easily all of the concept artists at Marvel's can capture the likenesses of these people, because like in a comic book, the looks and the design of the characters always change a little bit. It's always just kind of getting about like the stature and the uniform, right, the costume. But they have to nail the likenesses of actors and all of this art, and it just always looks exactly like them. So they are just exceptionally good.
Yeah. What was fun I liked about the Infinity War book, it actually had like some panels of Nick Fury changing from a Skrull into Nick Fury, and we were like, oh, that's cool, that never happened in the movie, but then they ended up using it in Spider-Man. I was like, oh, some of this stuff does linger on. So they end up using a lot more of the stuff they make than we think. They just don't release it at the time, which leads us into our next topic, Mike.
Ooh.
Was Iron Man 1. Kevin Feige released an alternate take of Nick Fury ending an Iron Man movie where he specifically referenced Spider-Man and the mutant/X-Men universe.
Yeah, I actually saw the cut that was up on YouTube. I don't know if it was from an official source or what, but like I think I just like woke up out of bed this weekend and I was like, oh, what's going on Twitter? And somebody had it up there. he was like, "Oh, I'm already busy dealing with radioactive insects and
radioactive bug bites and
and like mutated people." But the the part that cut that kind of makes sense, whether they were going to use these properties or not. Like Nick Fury goes like, "I'm working on the Avengers initiative," and Tony's just like, "Oh, what are we avenging?" And he's like, "Whatever the fuck we want."
Yeah,
it's just like, I don't think it should be so open ended. You shouldn't be forming a task force, Nick Fury, unless you're specifically preparing for one thing.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a Sam Jackson line read for sure.
Yeah, like you're not using this because they mentioned Spider-Man and mutants. You're using this because you just can't avenge whatever you want.
Yeah.
But it's a fun little thing they unveiled at the Saturn Awards this weekend.
I thought the speculation around people seeing that was really kind of overblown. People were just like, "Oh my gosh, wow, they were planning all of this from the beginning. I wonder if they were in talks with Sony all the way back then." And it's just like, no, they weren't.
No, they weren't.
Like you don't need the rights to say radioactive spider in a movie. Like that's not a thing. Like I think some people get like a little crazy with their conspiracy theories, but like no, they were just like, let's just put this in there, and if we can use it, we'll use it. But they probably made the right call. They were just like, yeah, we might get around to this stuff eventually. But you got to remember, like, if you hear interviews with people who made that very first Iron Man movie, none of them thought this was going to end up being this huge franchise. They were hoping they might get one more movie out of Iron Man. So none of that, as much as we love and appreciate all Kevin Feige's done, like, all of this stuff was not all fleshed out that early.
Well, even then, like hiring Robert Downey Jr. at that time in his life, they took a huge loan out to make 2 movies, Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk. And if you watch the Incredible Hulk, literally what they set up in that is for the Avengers to fight the Hulk. Not literally anything else, because he's like, oh yeah, he goes and talks to things like, yeah, we're gonna, go fight or take down the Hulk, and it's like they never went that way at all. Once Thor was successful, they were able to use Loki and really make everything else work from there. But I mean, it was a miracle they got that far, to be completely honest. They even recast War Machine. And the Hulk at this point. What do they know? They know nothing. But also this has never been seen before. This post-credit scene, so they're actually going to include it on the Infinity Saga box set coming out. I've not seen this, but I know it's probably expensive.
Yeah, I won't buy it, but I want to see what it looks like. I always appreciate really extravagant box sets because it's just like a creative way to like sell merchandise. But I'm not going to buy it. But it's they had box sets before that came out in like a briefcase. Didn't they have one that was like? The
second one was Guardians.
Did they have something that was inside of a gauntlet, like in the Infinity Gauntlet? Or
No. The first one was the Tesseract briefcase. The second one was the Infinity Gauntlet, or not the Infinity Gauntlet, but you got me thinking the orb from Guardians of the Galaxy, like the purple orb opened up. Mm-hmm. And then they haven't done one for the Phase 3 yet because it just wrapped.
I wonder what it'll be.
Probably a gauntlet. Probably a gauntlet. Maybe it's the second briefcase they use at the end of Endgame. That Captain America takes the stones back in time.
Just more briefcase.
Yeah, we've already got the model done. Just change the inside a little bit.
Maybe the Captain America shield. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it could be cool.
You could fit a lot of discs in a Captain America shield, right?
You could. I'm hoping it's just it's empty and it's just got redeemable codes. There's no discs in it. That'd be the set I buy, Mike. But I did see. You know how I love my steelbooks, right? And Spider-Man's coming up supposedly October 1st. I don't know anything if that's true or not. But they've re-released all the older Phase 1 movies in Steelbook again at Best Buy in 4K. So if anyone wants to jump on the Steelbook bandwagon or send me anything for Christmas, you know how to make me happy.
Yep. Smelt down those Steelbooks and make some jewelry and send it to Chris.
Yeah, exactly. I want it to be personalized jewelry. I want you to really just put your heart into it. That's all that matters. Speaking of Iron Man, he is rumored, Tony Stark is rumored to appear to come back in the Black Widow movie this May, Mike.
Okay, see, I was being a little apprehensive at the top of the show because I thought you were trying to like find a way to bring him back into the current timeline, because we briefly talked about like an Ironheart rumor that floated around last week. But, I don't know. I guess like Tony Stark just really loves this. Robert Downey Jr. just like really loves this job. So he's just like, yeah, I'll come back as Tony. That'll be fun.
Yep. Except he's not. There is a scene that they have screened at press junctions where Tony and Nat have this conversation at the end of Civil War where she stuns, Black Panther from stopping Captain America and the Winter Soldier from going to whatever, Russia?
Yeah, in that hangar.
Yeah, but there's a bigger conversation they have where they're like, the Black Widow says, we're in over our heads, such and such, and then Tony tells her that she needs to run, and that's what causes her to leave the team at the end of Civil War and join Captain America. So rumors are that they may use this unreleased scene and some other stuff from Civil War to make this movie happen because it supposedly takes place between Civil War and Infinity War.
Gotcha. That makes a little bit more sense. Just because I would imagine Robert Downey Jr., he is at the height of his powers, if you will. He's probably a very, very, very busy man, whether it's in movies, TV, or like charity events or fundraisers, or maybe even vacationing. And he's just like, no, I'm not coming into the studio for your Black Widow movie. I'm busy buying 14 private islands and connecting them with bridges or something,
Being a real Tony Stark. Being the real hero we need. But, I mean, it's a cheap way to do it. They don't have to pay him to come back in because he's probably very expensive to do so. And it also doesn't, I think, with, again, spoilers, with Black Widow and him both being the two dead characters in the next movie, or from Endgame, there might be a little opportunity for them to have a little more moments before, the end of this film. So, that makes a little sense. But will they possibly do more scenes? Maybe. But as of right now, it looks like it's a big, just reuse a scene we never released ever anywhere. Not even on deleted scenes for home. So
they must have a really robust repository of unused footage. I'd love to search through that Dropbox folder.
Yeah. I'd love to see the naming conventions, to be completely honest. How do you do that? So, but yeah, I think that's fine. I don't think that diminishes his death at the end of Endgame. Do you?
No, because it's just like it's more of a flashback to set up her movie. So. Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody will be happy to see it.
All right. Perfect. We're going to see that in the trailer immediately. I guarantee it. Do you like the Silver Surfer as a character?
He is. He's very odd just because he's such what word am I looking for? He's just this...
he looks weird.
He's just like this pillar of a character. It's almost like he's like monolithic. He's like a monolithic type of person. Like I haven't read too much into any of his personality in the comic books, but it's always just this Herald of Galactus just flying around, monotone speak. It's just weird. I'm really curious if he gets developed how it's going to work.
Right, because he doesn't have he has no distinct facial he's obviously looks like a statue like you mentioned, but how do you map emotions and feel for a character that is just silver, metally silver? For that, and honestly, they could do an origin story of the character Norrin Rad and whatever, but there's a rumored solo film in early stages of development for Silver Surfer to make Galactus the long play rather than the last Fantastic Four movie where the Silver Surfer showed up and then Galactus was a big shit cloud behind him, and that was the movie.
I suppose a solo Silver Surfer movie would kind of give us the opportunity to maybe just roam the cosmos, exploring, different planets. I just don't. When I think of Silver Surfer, I think of an even more toned down Vision. Right after Vision was born in Age of Ultron, he was just kind of very buttoned up, very analytical, just all right, here we go, this is what we're gonna do, and just kind of a little bit curious of Earth. I just imagine even more of that to the extreme with Silver Surfer. So who knows, maybe they'll go in a totally different direction and they'll cast Jim Carrey as Silver Surfer. I don't know. It intrigues me, but
you know who they're gonna cast, right? Will Ferrell, because the Adam McKay has expressed interest in a Silver Surfer movie before, and Kevin Feige's always been keen on bringing him into the fold.
Adam McKay is a very interesting director because he has done Oscar-nominated films. He has done just comedic, slapstick, wacky stuff. So if Adam McKay wanted to do a superhero movie and he wanted to do Silver Surfer, that makes me interested.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely. I don't know I don't know where you put it, but like, yeah, if he wants to do it, whatever. Because I was talking about this today with somebody. Joker movie's coming out very soon, in a couple of weeks. I've already been asked to go with somebody. I'm very, very touched. Thank you, listener of the show, Andrew. And then, but also the sales director at my work has been asking me about it. He doesn't watch any of these movies, so I'm like, it must be getting out there to people.
Geisty.
But the director of that is known for doing the Hangover movies. So, like, there's some opportunity for people to, work outside of their comfort zone or work in ways we didn't expect them to. And Adam McKay could definitely possibly do that for us.
Maybe they're just running out of horror movie directors to hire, so they're like, all right, we got to move on to the comedy directors.
Yeah, switch back to comedy here. I mean, that's kind of what the Russo brothers did. They did Arrested Development television shows, all the paintball episodes of Community, and so on and so forth. So, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Venom 2 is apparently Andy Serkis. The sequel is begin filming November 25th. They say so, potentially just November as a whole. So, do you think they're gonna hit that October release schedule by next year? You think?
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
I feel. I'm just keeping Venom at arm's length. I don't know how to feel yet. Andy Serkis makes things more interesting, but like you're just gonna be over there in my life, Venom, until I get a trailer.
Oh, okay, all right. I mean, do you think that's? But do you think October's still a reasonable thing? They could probably do it in less than a year with all the effects and stuff.
Well, I mean, Andy Serkis, I'm sure, is a post-production special effects pro. He lives and breathes in that world. So
yeah.
if he is letting the studio know that October is a release date that he thinks he can hit, I would trust him.
Yeah, Marvel tends to do pretty good hitting their under a year. Black Widow was filming this summer, and that's out in May. So. Maybe he took some tips from them. I don't know. So, yeah, the working title is called Fillmore, which is based on the historic musical district in San Francisco. So it's probably still set in San Francisco for the sequel.
Mm-hmm. Spider-Man's not going on any class trips out to San Francisco, so we'll have to see how he's going to make a.
You don't know what he's doing. He's back with mom now. Okay, it's not joint custody anymore, Mike. He's over there.
If I really had to find a way to get Spider-Man in this movie, like chronologically of release dates of these films, maybe he's in like witness protection, or since his identity's been released. I don't know.
Yeah, but just don't say anything else about any other movie you've ever been in. There you go. Mission Impossible. We talked about this a little bit last week. Hailee Atwell, known for playing Sharon Carter. Peggy Carter. Oops, I typed that in wrong. Is to be the female lead of not just Mission Impossible 7, but also 8 as well. So I think they might be doing these back to back really quickly, Mike. Before Tom Cruise gets old and he flies off to space to be with Xanadu or whoever.
That just makes me think, we don't have to worry about Hailee Atwell dying in Mission Impossible 7, So any sort of near-death scene that she's in, just chill, just eat some popcorn. She's going to be sticking around.
Yeah, I mean, that could be true, or maybe that, they're faking us out, Mike.
Or she's a robot clone or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
wait, this isn't a Fast and the Furious movie.
No, they don't do. They're robot clones. They have masks. Remember, they hide themselves under their mask and their voice chips.
You were a mask the whole time? You mean you actually died in the last movie? I mean, you died last week?
Yeah. And he's the mask. It's from this Jim Carrey movie, The Mask. They all have on the green mask in this one. They're getting wild with these Mission Impossible movies, man. You can't keep track of them anymore. The real meat and potatoes of what I think we're going to talk about today is the Suicide Squad, the full cast reveal from James Gunn on his Instagram, I think, right? It's just it's bonkers. This is absolutely bonkers list. I need to pull up my image I had here for this, but I mean, like, how do you get so many people into this movie?
Yeah, I was waiting for the food truck to make my lunch when I scrolled past this image, and I was like, "What? There's a lot of people." We're seeing some people return, which was interesting. Saw some familiar names, and then I saw some what I feel like might be stunt casting. Like maybe some of these people are just going to be in the movie for like a second, but they just want the name in the poster, like literally.
Yeah.
And we saw that Suicide Squad movies in general are okay with killing characters very quickly, and I think he even mentions that himself in the Instagram post.
Yeah, he's like, don't get too attached to these. I mean, just looking at this, 4 times 6, 24 people, 24 huge names in here, Mike. And I need to double check this, but I think I missed one of them here. Nope, that's the wrong one. So just right off the returning characters, I can tell from this, from Suicide Squad to the Suicide Squad include Harley Quinn, Boomerang, Rick Flag, and Amanda Waller. Right off the gate.
I was surprised to see Jai Courtney coming back. I could see maybe Rick Flag because he was kind of like the leader. Whether or not he was effective leader or even effective in the last film at all, I could kind of see that. Amanda Waller, Harley Quinn, obviously. But I was like, all right, I guess the Boomerang does come back. I mean, Jai Courtney's a lot of people dog on his acting, but he had some funny stuff in that last Suicide Squad movie. So it seems like James Gunn sees something there, or maybe he just wants to kill him off at the very beginning. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that could be one of the... I mean, these original characters could be there just to seem like no one from the original one is safe at all from that. So we get at least those returning characters, and Harley Quinn's she's kind of being the standout character, I guess, for the DCU right now. In most movies. It
almost kind of seems like the DC has two different sides of their universe right now. We got the evil baddie side, which is anchored by Harley Quinn, and then we got the good guy side, which is honestly probably anchored by Wonder Woman. Yeah, Aquaman coming in second. So interesting strategy.
Yeah, they're going wild with this one. But also we have the usual James Gunn suspects, people who are been in a lot of James Gunn movies and also Marvel as a whole. So David Dast Malchian, he's the guy who says Baba Yaga in the Ant-Man sequel a lot. So him, Sean Gunn, his brother, who plays he introduced our show back at GalaxyCon last year. What is his character? Kraglin. There it is. And Michael Rooker, known for playing Yondu in Guardians movies. But then here's the newcomers. This might be where I think that stunt casting you're talking about comes in. With Pete Davidson, a Saturday Night Live actor, being in here. He's only going to be there for a minute. He's not going to be this whole movie thing. Peter Capaldi, who was in Doctor Who last season before the new girl took over. Some fun actors here. Idris Elba taking over for a role. We've talked about that for a while. Taika Waititi, the director of Thor Ragnarok and the upcoming Thor Love and Thunder. Yeah,
that is total stunt casting there. I would be surprised if he's in the movie for more than one scene, but it would be funny if he died in a funny way.
Maybe he's playing Hitler from Jojo Rabbit.
Oh god, that'd be all right.
Yeah, and then lastly, Nathan Fillion. Of course, everyone wants him in a superhero movie, and he was in Guardians of the Galaxy. In case nobody remembers, but
yeah, I love Nathan Fillion. I hope he's in this movie for more than one scene because I think he needs to be in a movie. I want a lot more Nathan Fillion in my cinema.
Yeah. With this name of actors, I mean, there's a lot more actors in there too that you could probably pull up and know from stuff. But I mean, I think. To me, this feels like a Muppet movie where they have all these cameos for one lines, and then that's it with the number of celebrities they're casting in this. But I mean, if James Gunn has the pull to get these people in the Suicide Squad, I mean, it's got me on board a lot more than it was, when they first announced it. But other than that, he said we're not going to know anything else for a very long time, like character-wise or story-wise, for a while. So, when do you think this movie comes out then?
Oh, geez. Well, it sounds like it's definitely not going to be next year if he says a long time. So, probably before the next Aquaman movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Wonder Woman is June of this next year, right? I think, or July. I mean, we've not seen anything from that either. But, I mean, this is going to be interesting, to say the least, when it's all said and done. Anything else on the Suicide Squad, Mike?
Well, I think that about says it.
Hot takes. None here. The Batman, the upcoming movie with Robert Pattinson as Batman, Kevin Smith says the new film follows the long Halloween story arc from the 90s.
So is this just like an accidental slip of the lip, or where does this come from?
It's from his podcast. I think he said he heard it from a source. He doesn't know directly, but a really good source told him that this film's going to follow it. And with the number of villains they're casting, It literally, this is the only one that would make sense at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm curious, so Robert Pattinson, it seems like maybe they're angling for a type of younger Batman. Whether or not like the age of the actor fits in with a young Batman, he looks on the younger side. I could see maybe this could be like a hybrid between like the Long Halloween and like Year One. So like the Long Halloween, no spoilers in the comic book from the graphic novel. You should go read it. It's really great if you haven't. But it takes place over like a whole year. It's like Batman is investigating, and it takes a whole year for him to come back around to solve the mystery. So maybe throughout this whole year of this film, we see Robert Pattinson become like the Batman. I think, isn't that what the movie's supposed to be called, like the Batman anyway? Yeah. So maybe through his year of investigation, he finally gets like, he breaks in his cowl, if you will. So I mean, that'd be cool. I haven't read a whole lot of like just legendary Batman storylines, but I've read a decent chunk, and The Long Halloween was one of them. The art's really good in it too, so it's worthwhile just to read it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great storyline. I mean, even though I hate the writer of it now, Jeff Loeb, he's in charge of Marvel Television, and he essentially killed the Ultimate Universe for me. But he did have really good work in the '90s, including The Long Halloween. I think he did Hush as well, the Batman Hush arc, which a lot of people really enjoyed the book version, not the movie version of that. But I mean, if you've got this many villains, I mean, this is the movie story. This is the arc to follow, man. Like, this is the one, because it's got so many in it. Right before the show started, we both got a chance to watch the upcoming full trailer for Watchmen on HBO, debuting October 20th at 9 p.m. I don't know what to make of this show yet, at all.
It looks, I think after I watched it, I told you it looks very prestigious, which, is pretty much HBO's calling card. So there's like this weird kind of pod that they take. It looks like they're taking like what they call terrorists into. So I'm curious what's going on in there. We get to see what is his name? The Owl. Is that the character that was in the movie that flew around on the ship? Night Owl. That's right. I couldn't remember his name, but we see his spaceship, or I guess flying craft, or whatever the hell it is, like crashed towards the end of the trailer. So is he going to be making an appearance, or maybe just his tech? I don't know.
Well, so I mean, we got to see a couple of things of Ozymandias. We got to see Tim Blake Nelson as a hillbilly type character with the mustache there for a lot more than we've seen him before. I'm interested to see what kind of quote unquote terrorist these people are, and why is that guy in the pod have on such a silvery reflective mask, and what is that doing?
Yeah, he's auditioning for the Silver Surfer movie. That's what he's doing.
He's doing a great job. Hire him right now. So there's a lot of questions. It's a 9-episode series, weekly, that should put us through the end of the year pretty solidly. So, I'm excited to take a dive into Watchmen, the later years, and see how that comes out as well.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Watchmen, I mean, either way, J.J. Abrams, his bad.
Looking, it's like Chris, like the segue's in there somewhere. If I just dig a little deeper.
And I lost. David Lindelof, who was working on Watchmen, worked with J.J. Abrams on Lost.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot production company has signed an exclusivity deal with WarnerMedia for the next 5 years, minimum, to create original series, films, and video games across all platforms.
The HBO Max, that's what that is. We're going to be getting an HBO Max trailer within the year that says, from the visionary creator, J.J. Abrams. Yeah. I'm calling it.
So he's going to wrap up his stint with Disney with Star Wars at the end of the year, right? December. Mm-hmm. He still owes Paramount some stuff, I think, from his Star Trek deals they had going on beforehand. This does include theatrical releases, so WarnerMedia could have movies out of this as well. They go to theaters, and then anything that WarnerMedia passes on that comes from Bad Robot can be sold again. So they're not tied in. It sounds like more like a first look than anything. So, this is very similar to what who else signed the Game of Thrones writers?
D&D, yeah.
Yeah, was it? No, not HBO. Who signed that? Was it Netflix? Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix. Yeah.
So literally, this sounds like we're going to be in a war of exclusives for the next 10 years. Minimum.
Who do you think Quibi's hiring?
Not us. We're available. We'll be on your Quibi. We'll make 10-minute segments of our show that are fun.
Yeah. We'll hire an editor.
We can riff. We can skiff. But yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna see a lot of like you only get stuff from this, famous name enter here on our streaming service for the next 10 years. Like this is gonna be a new fighting strategy to get people to sign up. I mean, that's all I see. What do you think?
Yeah, this is just the battle of the streaming wars played out in contracts. So it doesn't mean necessarily JJ is going to make a ton of stuff, but like I said with D&D over at Netflix, it's just going to be lots of like executive produced stuff. Like it's not like JJ is actually going to be in all of these writers' rooms. He's just going to hire people that he likes to make like maybe one-off ideas. He's going to be like, I had an idea. My kid just came back from camp and he was eating a gummy worm. Let's make a gummy worms show. And someone's like, hey, somebody kind of made that. Nope, I said it. Gummy worm TV show. Executive produced by J.J. Abrams.
I was listening to this podcast and they were talking about Pogs. How can we make Pogs into a movie?
Whoa, Chris. You nailed it.
Yeah. Pog, the origins or something like that.
Coming to Quibi, April 2020.
Yeah. It's just us slamming slammers on to these Pogs for 5 minutes at a time.
You know it.
I do. So, yeah, if you want some Bad Robot production stuff, you're going to see there. All your nostalgic shows coming right on back. His Dark Materials, I know a friend of the show, Quentin Parker, big fan of the book series. The TV show finally has a release date with a Monday, November 4th on HBO, which is, I didn't think they'd do Monday releases. So,
yeah, I actually did. I just assumed everything came out on Sunday nights, but Monday, interesting.
Yeah, it stars Daphne Keane from Logan. Looks to be out of this world crazy. With
expensive, crazy expensive.
Sci-fi and fantasy, and a huge polar bear that's somebody's friend. Yeah,
just like Carnival Row, I don't care whether it's bad. If they're putting a lot of money on the screen, I'm going to watch it no matter what because I just want to see what they do with it. I'm not saying the show is going to be bad. The trailers actually look very good, but the fact that it's very expensive is definitely going to get me to tune in.
Yeah, if you want Mike to subscribe, you just slap a huge budget on that.
Yeah, just throw a bunch of money at me. You definitely won't get a return on your investment because I'm only giving you like $10 a month.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, that show's coming out. HBO really lining up their service for this winter. So if you're needing something to watch, you can head there. Have you watched any of the It movies, Mike?
I saw Chapter 1. I think it was just streaming on like HBO or something. So I just like watched it one random weekend. It was fun. It was entertaining.
Yep, and 2 is out in theaters right now. And the director, I think Andy Muschietti, is planning a 7-hour supercut of both movies, putting them together like the old movie was.
Damn, 7 hours. That is long.
Yeah, it includes on planned newly shot footage. They haven't really shot any new footage yet to make it this cohesive film and kind of tie into the story. Because I tried to watch the old one from the 80s or 90s. I think it was 80s. God dang, that thing was hard to follow. Because it starts off when they're adults already. And like it jumps back and forth. And the new one just literally goes from kids to adults. So I think it's an ambitious effort, so you can get that It box set, later on down the road.
Get Topher Grace to edit it. He's the one that is always getting called to do like these these supercuts. So Topher Grace, get on it.
Yeah, if he could trim it down to 1.5 hours, I'll watch it. How about that?
Yeah.
I'll make that an agreement with him, and still make it, so I'm getting all this stuff, but if you're a big fan of It and you've seen them both and you want to see more, you can plan on seeing more with the supercut later down the road. But Mike, that's it. That's our show. We're done.
We made it.
We made it. Yay.
I can't believe we've been able to produce shows because we're now into the fall. We're out of the, we're technically out of summer since it's like post Labor Day, but it's like hot as hell outside of my place right now. So it does not feel like the fall, but it's going to be October soon. We can eat our candy corn here just shortly.
Oh man. Oh, I gotta send you a picture. So we were outside today, and my wife's like, "Look at that candy corn house." I'm like, "What the hell is she talking about?" The siding is the color of candy corn up at the top corner, and it's even a little triangle shaped. I'm gonna send you this picture when I'm done here. I need to send that to you. I took a photo of it just for you. I was like,
I'll I'll support that.
Yep. I also, every time I go to Target lately, I'm looking at all the candy corn flavors. See if I can find something I like. Just so I can have something. Like, look, I'm supporting Mike's candy corn habit here, even though I don't like it as much as you do.
We are halfway through the month of September. Just hold on, Chris. Do not eat any until the month of October.
Oh no, I'm gonna hoard it.
You're gonna turn in. I don't know. There's a curse on candy corn. You can't eat it till the right month.
Is there? What am I gonna turn into? Now I gotta know. You can't just leave me hanging like that.
You're going to turn into corn candy. It's the opposite. It's very extremely sweet corn. That's what it is.
So tell me, why do we not have candy popcorn?
Ooh, I like that idea. Are you saying put candy corn in popcorn and eat it together?
Well, you can do that pretty easily, but I'm just saying like popcorn-shaped candy.
Ooh, you know what? You got a point. I had a buttered popcorn flavored Jelly Belly the other day. It was really good. Yeah. It's been a while since I had one. So there you go. That's your answer right there.
So we've been meeting with our local news station at work to get some commercials on the air, right? And our account rep, I think that's it. Her name is Lindsay. I think she's listening to the show right now. Her and her husband are big into superheroes, and they started listening to our show last week. And I was like, oh, God help you for listening to us, this late in the shows. But no, I'm kidding. But she brought popcorn to our office on Friday, and they had dill pickled flavor popcorn in there.
What? That sounds nasty.
Do you like salt and vinegar?
No, not at all.
Okay, yeah, then you totally hate it. I thoroughly enjoyed it because I like salt and vinegar. But I just had to have a shout out to Lindsay and her husband for listening. Thanks for joining the show. But since they're new to everything and they don't know us very well, Mike, where can they find you and figure out what you're up to so they can become your best friends?
Oh, well, if you want to find me, you can follow me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram and Twitter. And you can read my webcomics, ironically called pickledcomics.com. I just dill pickle chips. I like pickles. I like eating pickles, but not on chips. That sounds gross. Chris, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Valdan, VALDAN, our Instagram, Valdan87. You can also go onto our Instagram because I saw Mike did this. He found a Superfan Coke can.
That was from the food truck right after I read that thing from James Gunn. I was like, oh man, this can loves us. It shared a show with a friend.
Yeah, you got to share a show with a buddy. To be a super fan, you have to share a Coke with people now. Okay, that's part of it. But
well, to be accurate, I realized this after I posted the photo. It says share this can with a super fan. So I should have been giving this can to a fan, but I was like, no, this can is personified because I watch too much Toy Story. It must be listening to our show.
You are a super fan, Mike. You share the show with buddies. You share the show with friends. So
I do.
You're a super fan as well. You can't not be a super fan of your own show. Otherwise, what's the point?
I'll push it to the limit. I'll just be really crabby next week. Let's see how it goes.
Oh, good Lord. Well, anyway, Mike, if people want to know more about Superhero Slate, where they can find these random photos of Coke cans on our Instagram, where can they find us at?
Oh, it's easy, Chris. All you got to do is visit superheroslate.com. That is the best resource for all things Superhero Slate, and you can also get our awesome show notes over there, too. So if you want to link to that Suicide Squad photo that we talked about, or if you want to see the cover for the Avengers Endgame art book that looks super rad, we got all that stuff in our show notes, and you can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and anywhere else you love listening to podcasts. You should also like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and, like Chris said, the Instagram at Superhero Slate Podcast, because for some reason somebody got to Superhero Slate before us on Instagram, which really bums me out. But you can still find us just by searching for us there. You can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. You can get t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, all that good stuff over there on our online store. And we love hearing from you. Please reach out with your thoughts on the show. What do you like hearing us talk about? What do you not like hearing us talk about? Do you also agree that candy corn should only be consumed in the month of October? How many pumpkin spice lattes are you into now, only a few weeks after? Is it exactly a week after Labor? Was Labor Day last week? I've lost track already. I have fallen into the month of fall already. It was very spooky. It was very spooky on Friday, Chris. It was Friday the 13th. It was a full moon. And it was the 50th anniversary of Scooby-Doo. A lot of spooks going on Friday night.
Yeah, well, I think I had a full week of work this week, so I think it was 2 weeks ago was Labor Day.
Yeah, who knows? It was the spooky Friday that kept us.
Spooky. spooky. Anyway, well, I guess that's our show.
Yeah, we as of course we also love our super fans. So if you want to be a super fan of this show, like that miraculous Coke Zero can, all you have to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we'll be here every week, folks.
Yes, we will, including next week. We'll see you then.
All right, adios.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
I wouldn't necessarily call it like a chick flick or anything like that, but it's just like, this is nice. This is in all the quadrants. Pleasant time.